welcome to Reset and Restore, and we're here today with Tara Polk, amazing woman that I got the privilege of meeting this past November. We met in Kerala, India, when we're both colleagues, so we were doing our clinical at a Panchakarma clinic. So if anybody is not familiar with Ayurveda, Panchakarma is a cleansing procedure, right, physically. And Tara she's just phenomenal. She's got 20 years experience as a nurse, and she branched off from being a nurse to opening up her own practice as a wholeness practitioner. So she does many things as far as moving energy, Reiki, through being a massage therapist, and you just have many different tools in your toolkit to help create that space for people, like a healing space. And I know even I experienced it, and I sensed that deep intuition that you had even when I was there, and you sensed that I was stressed and I had a headache, and you said, "Hey, do you need a little help there?" and you took me aside and you put your hands on me, and I just felt that power, and it helped to release my headache, and it meant a lot to me during that time, and just the connection that I felt with your spirit is just very powerful. And I'm so grateful to have you here with me today, and to learn more about you and let people know a little bit more about what you do. So I guess we'll just start off and tell me a little bit more about your journey, like what led you into this space as a healer from being a nurse to what you're doing now.
Well, first, Becca, I want to say that I am so grateful to be here with you, to just be present with you, and just to be sharing love, because that's what it's all about. The greatest energy in the world is love, and to be in a place to share that is tremendous. So, how I got to segue from being a nurse to being a holistic practitioner is I was a nurse, and I worked in a community. So I was a community nurse, and I would go to see clients that were taking 20 to 30 medications. They were severely depressed. They couldn't pay their bills. They couldn't function. And to me, a lot of them were taking more medications for the side effects from medications. So I thought that there has to be a different way. To me, it looked like healthcare was putting Band-Aids on things. They weren't diving deeper to the root cause of what was going on with people, in the community, and people were just taking the medications without explanations. They didn't know why they were on these medications, and a lot of learned helplessness in the community. So that was really heavy on my heart. And also at 40, I realized that
you're not 40.
Well, I'm almost 50 now.
No.
But I realized then that I didn't I didn't know myself, and I was doing all of these things for other people. I was unhealthy myself at the time, and I didn't know how to heal myself, even though I was a nurse, I was focused on being everything that everybody else needed, and I wasn't focused on me. So I started to learn Reiki, and that kind of led me to massage, and it was kind of like a rabbit hole. So, I went down the rabbit hole. I don't know which pill they took in the Matrix, the red or the blue one, but I took the one that went down the rabbit hole. And then my work started to evolve into quantum healing and quantum healing hypnosis, sound therapy. I do a lot of aura cleanses, deep spiritual detoxes, I don't like to say this, but sometimes I actually do have to remove a lot of very dark energy from people, and that's the truth, and so I just been led by spirit, Probably about 8 years ago, I thought I'd be running somebody's hospital, but I am running my own healthcare practice, and now I'm in school for my master's in Ayurveda and integrative medicine because I want to integrate it all. I want to be able to get to the root cause of what is causing the dis-ease in people, because they say if there's no dis-ease in the spirit, there is no disease in the person. So we got to get to the spirit. Diet and all of those things are tremendously important, but what's going on in the spirit? What kind of traumas are we bringing in over lifetimes that live in our soul body?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And that affect our karma and also our children's karma, and then our children's karma. So I want to get to the roots of the tree.
Yeah.
And then also be able to provide diet, herbs, and lifestyle recommendations to my clients, and ultimately at the end, maybe some prescriptive drugs if they need it. But when we get to the root, we don't necessarily.
You don't end up needing it.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
So how do you make somebody feel comfortable when, like you were saying before, we've been relying so much on this current system that we have, right, in medicine, and let's have this drug as a band-aid, and then it's causing other symptoms, to happen. But so how do you help people progress and educate them, for one, what is quantum healing? And if somebody hasn't heard that, quantum healing, what is that? What does that mean? Is that, moving energy, right? And where is this energy coming from? So maybe you can unpack that a little bit, and just from somebody who's new to this, and they might feel a little uneasy, and because they just don't understand, but yeah, maybe explain a little bit more, what is quantum healing?
So quantum healing is healing over lifetimes, right? It's getting to the deeper layers of what is going on with a person. Definitely understanding your chakras do help with the deeper layers of you, and so first I want to answer the question you said, how do you make people comfortable? I kind of start them out with Reiki because it's easier to describe the chakras and how they intervene with the 3D realm. But once we get to what chakras are blocked and we get into the session, I am able to see sometimes their lives purpose, sometimes spirit guides come through, ancestors, and the whole session is normally right in alignment with what's going on with them today. So normally whatever is blocking you in your life today, there was a block cause in a previous life, and you brought it in to learn a lesson or to elevate your soul.
Yeah.
And we are so divinely created, some people believe in reincarnation and some people don't, you know. So I do ask them that question first, what is their belief system? And
because even if they don't believe in the whole past lives or anything like that, but even from a simpler standpoint, if you just believe in this realm here, right, that you do recognize that there's cycles that have been passed down from your grandparents and things like that, because and then how can you get to the root cause of that? So just for example, I'll give myself as an example, right? My great grandmother, lost a child. She had a boy and a girl, my grandmother, right? And a boy, and the boy drowned in a river. And so that grief that carried on to my great grandmother, and how my grandmother was raised, because she had a mother that maybe wasn't totally present because she was just always in grief. And then how my grandmother then, you know, mothered my mother, and how that had an effect on you know, on the nurturing and things like that just wasn't maybe taught or brought down. And so then when we can kind of unpack that and uncover and talk to our family if they're open, right, and get some healing, and then realize, okay, this is where I just didn't get that in the natural environment that I was in, right? And so identifying that and then seeing how I want to break that cycle, and I want to learn how to be a better mother for my child, so that doesn't continue to happen.
And that is quantum healing as well. Like what you said. And sometimes during sessions we can kind of tap into that. So, you know, your sacral chakra and your root represent that reproductive area, that area where you give birth. And sometimes, like you said, your grandmother's grief will live in that area because she had grief related to giving birth to a child. Some people come in and they bring in that grief and they can't figure out why they don't want to have children, why they're scared to have children, because we carry that grief inside of us. So when I'm working, the ancestor sometimes will come, or I'll get a vision of what may have happened to the ancestor, or if you had a past life where you had a child die, you know, or you had a past life where you died, you know, and you had to leave your young child by itself. Sometimes you will have grief and fear in those areas, or inside of your heart, because it lives in your heart as well, related to having children, starting a family, being in a committal relationship. And so clearing those things out. So I channel divine source energy, love, all love, you know, is channeled to me. And we clear out those areas, and then I give them exercises, maybe journal prompts, or things that they can do to continue to release those traumas, you know, homework. And then, you know,
because it's not just you come and work on them and it's just snap, gone. It's like,
no,
there's a continual process, right?
It's so layered. It's so layered. I had a client that in a past life, she was a ballerina, and she was like an OCD ballerina, and she was severely depressed, you know, and she didn't necessarily want to be a ballerina, but her mother wanted to be a famous ballerina. And so her mother made her train relentlessly. She had to be perfect, you know, and she wound up in this life committing suicide because she was never enough, she felt, for her mother or herself, right? And in this life, she is actually a therapist, but she is still like perfect. And we worked together over years, and she's done her own work herself to get in a place where she can just let go and be, you know, get in a place where she can say, hey, I don't have to be perfect. I don't always have to be doing something, you know, I can just be, and that doesn't mean that I am less than perfect. You know,
are you talking to me? Are you talking to me?
Yes. And I've been doing my own self-work, you know, as well. So I walked the journey as well, you know, working with my past lives. And, you know, I was really loved growing up. I haven't had any toxic relationships with my mother. You know, I had a man in my life that supported me. He was my biological father, but for some reason I came in this life with these feelings of like not being worthy, and you know, but my mother is a free spirit, and she's always let me be free. She was waiting for me to catch up. So I never had the issue of the mother who was, you know, very,
pressure and stuff,
religious and rigid. I could just be me all my life. Okay. And so I couldn't figure that out until I started to tap into my past lives. I started to recall them, but also I had a past life regression hypnosis. And she revealed a life where I was molested by a father in a life. I've had, traumatic experiences with men and other lives. And in this life, I'm actually ruled by my sacral chakra. Like, my sacral chakra tells me whether the decisions I make are good or bad. That's the part of my body that I communicate my heart and my sacral chakra the most. And so, I've had female productive issues. I had a hysterectomy a couple of years ago. And all of these things I brought in with me, these feelings of not being worthy, these feelings of thinking that I have to sacrifice myself to make my mate happy, and all of these things. But they also live in my mother's DNA, my grandmother's DNA. So it's very multifaceted, quantum healing. It has to do with your generational DNA, but it also has to do with what lives in your energy body from your past lives and what lessons you decided to learn in this life. So,
I feel like somebody has to really be ready if they want to dig in deeper, right? Like, do you always do that with people, to go to past life, or do you not need to, and you just like, let's just focus on the now and the future kind of thing?
I actually go where spirit leads me. So, and I tell my clients that, because, they'll get referrals from other clients and be like, oh, she told me this, we did this, and we did that. And I always tell them that I don't ever say I'm a psychic, I'm a medium, you know what I mean? I'm a vessel for spirit. So your session is what spirit wants to give you. Okay. What spirit wants to happen. Now, when I get in there, I do ask permission. So if there's a loved one lingering because you haven't released them, or they have regrets related to you, I ask permissions for those things. I ask permission to cut cords or outdated contracts and all of those kinds of things. And I do have clients that, like, I just had a client last week. Her dad passed maybe about a year ago. And she's not ready to let him go. She's not ready to let him go. He was her everything. They had a very codependent relationship. And her mother, we were able to lift. They had a toxic relationship. But her father, she wasn't. She was like, no. So I said, well, I'm going to check in with you by our next session, and you can let me know if you're ready to release him. You know what I mean? So that you can go on with your life. And, it's just...
Was that attachment was more holding her back in some ways, or?
I think it's holding her back in ways that she's scared to... She's in a relationship with a nice guy, but she's scared to truly commit to him, because she's scared of what if it doesn't work. You know what I mean? What if it doesn't... and
because she lost something that was close to her.
Yes.
So then it's that fear of losing something close to you, so then you don't want to commit to that thing anymore.
Right. Yeah. Right. So helping her to get to that point, I think, will help her, because she wants this love. Yeah. And she also had a narcissistic relationship before him with a male that we did release. But I worry about her allowing the reconnection, because she's still not ready to release the dad. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So holding on, she likes to hold. She's a keeper, a collector, so to speak. And so, just, knowing when toxic energy is not good for you, and just being able to release it. Her dad was an addict, and he died. The way she had to watch him die was not good, you know.
Yeah.
And she replays that in her mind, and when he comes to her, because she's very connected as well, but he shows her him when he was, you know, healthy, you know, healthy, and so
So
I told her that he wants you to let go of all of this trauma. That's why he's showing you him in that
in a
way.
healthy way, so that you can get that other image out of your mind and move on, because it's stuck in you, that energy, and it's not a good energy that's stuck in you.
And he does not want you to be stuck. He wants you to be happy,
free.
Yes, I'm like, he could have hung on and whatever. I'm like, but he wanted you to be, his contract was up, and he wants you to be happy and free. You know, so so it's a lot of energy that, you know, lives in us. And like, even with her relationship with her mom, just the toxic relationship. But again, it was a generational thing. She had a mother didn't show her love, so she didn't know how to show her daughter love. You know. And so
I have a curious question too, because I'm just connecting the dots here and understanding too, like, these are some root causes, right, within the spirit, and how then these things can manifest as and be held up within our physical body. So you have a pain and a tightness here and there, and you're working with people not only in the spirit, but you're also working with your hands and helping people to release that. So I imagine, you know, I've had a little bit of experience in giving people massages and stuff as a personal trainer, and just friends and stuff. And I've noticed when I use my hands, sometimes I can feel their tensions, and it's almost those places where these emotions get stuck up, right? And then they kind of get inflamed in places where maybe you've had trauma or injury or anything like that. So maybe share a little bit of that experience that you've had with working with clients within the spirit, and then seeing them on the table and giving them a massage and feeling it in their body. What does that feel like?
It can feel hot. It can feel inflamed. I got this new gifting from the spirit that it automates sometimes. So sometimes voices, songs of the person or the trauma, you know, that is being held. It's very heavy. It can feel very dark. Sometimes I'm coughing, crying. It's very different, you know. And this particular client that I was just talking about, she has low back, hip, knee, and foot issues.
So do you see how that connects when you see so many clients and they have maybe similar problems? So it's like a root chakra issue, and so maybe it's connected with the lower back pains and stuff, and it's connected to not having stability in their family or something like that. Do you see these trends?
Yes, I do. I've been seeing a lot of trends. So autoimmune disease is always related to trauma and ungrounding, because, you know, it's a lack. It's like you forgot yourself. So your body forgets you too. You know what I mean? It's like you forgot to love yourself, and it could be because of trauma or whatever, you know, and it lives in your body. It lives in your joints. It attacks your organs. It can attack all kinds of things. And I see that in my clients, you know, the ones that have fibromyalgia, because they don't release the traumas, you know. They haven't released the traumas. They haven't worked through their childhood traumas. And really starting to work with those. And I refer my clients out to therapists. So I don't just say, you know, we're going to do this spiritual work, but we ain't going to do, you know, any other work.
It's a multimodality approach, right?
Yes, absolutely. And then we're going to start talking about herbs that you can take to balance your mood and your racing mind and your anxiety and all of those kinds of things. And you're going to get massage. And you like get in the sauna and do a detox, or, you know. So I talk to it's like you said, a multimodality approach, but really looking in the mirror and seeing what's at the root is very important to whatever service that I am providing. So I do relaxation massage, but it's not my thing.
Yeah.
You know,
I started laughing and thinking because this younger generation, I think they're more keen sometimes a little bit. And my son got a really bad injury from playing a sport. Really kind of a traumatic injury, almost broke his shin bone. And his friend or it was another injury. I don't know, he's had so many injuries. But one of his friends says there's some generational trauma in that injury. And it made me laugh so much because I'm like, he gets it. Because that, and I see myself, that ambition to drive to the point of pain. And then to be so tough to be like, it doesn't hurt me, I'm fine. Like to not like actually realize that you need to take care of yourself and you don't need to push that hard. But why are you pushing that hard? Because you're trying to prove something, for somebody else, because you're trying to fill a hole that you were lacking somewhere else.
Yeah. And yeah, that's so true. And I have learned the hard way, you gotta sit down a little bit. I don't normally suffer from body pain, but like I said, I suffered from huge fibroids and endometriosis and things like that.
And that would make sense. So if we look at from an Ayurvedic perspective, right? And we understand the elements and how they play. Maybe not everybody understands what we're talking, so I'll just give a brief explanation. But we pretty much have, air, space, fire, water, and earth. And so we have the dosha types. So Vata is air and space, Pitta is fire and water, and Kapha is earth and water, right? So we can see from the natural, just from structure and stuff, you have more, like you have Kapha, you have a structure in your, so with the Kapha personality, then you can have more growth. So you were talking about endometriosis and something else, and so those are more growth, right? Because it's
fibroid
structure. Yeah. So for like me being Vata Pitta, I can have, if I have too much air and stuff, I'm drying. My joints are drying. I have pain in my joints more. So I have more pain with my joints. When you don't have pain with your joints, it's more because you have more structure and earth energy. So I think so just understanding all that, I just love how Ayurveda puts it together and how it's very a simple thing if we can understand nature and understand the qualities of nature, and then we can start to tune into our own body a little bit more and understand, like fire with the Pitta, me being fire, and when I'm angry, right? And then, or if I'm eating too much spicy food, I'm doing things that are making me more angry. But what is the opposite of anger, right? Is love. So I can have uncontrolled, love that will turn into anger. So I wanted to hit on, like, and hear more of you talk about this too, about the masculine and feminine energies and how that even presents within the body. And I don't know, I was thinking like the right side is more masculine and the left side is more feminine. And for me personally, like I have more tightness and pains on my right side. Is that because I'm driving too hard? I've had too much more masculine energy in my life versus the feminine, and trying to balance that?
Well, that's actually what's going on the planet right now, because the masculine has been running amok, right?
Yeah.
So masculine is the doer, the drive, the sun, right? And then the feminine is the moon, that creative, nurturing energy that receives, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I love that energy. I'm loving that energy.
Energy, right? And so that's what's going on. We're shifting to elevate the divine feminine, not in just women, in men as well. And if you see the shift around, you will notice that men are becoming more balanced. A little bit more balanced. But that masculine energy is that doing energy, that always doing, that always going, that that increased vata, air, always go, 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 in the fire all the time.
Yeah.
And then, the feminine is that softer energy that we need to bring in to nurture, to create, to be softer, to learn how to just be. And, the way the earth is going, like we're transcending from 3D to 5D fast. And that's why so many people are dying right now, because they're not willing to shift out of that just masculine energy. They're stuck, so they're not elevating with the planet. And the people that are elevating, that are doing the work, that are recreating themselves, that are going into the darkness, the womb of themselves, and clearing out those traumas, they're elevating. They're elevating, and they will survive.
Yeah. It's not an easy process, but man, is it worth it. I love the inner work. Like, I've just been doing it for so long, and I feel so much more free than I had been before, and just these paradigm shifts, healing paradigm, these paradigm shifts that I've had within my life, and I'm just craving more of my own feminine energy and the expression of the creativity that I have. Like, just recently I went away, on spring break, took my kids to Hawaii, visited home and stuff. And there was some heavy energies and these imaginations that I had when I was a child, how things were all great. And then I went and revisited these places, and they weren't so great anymore. Like, they weren't like how I imagined them anymore. But anyway, I did a lot of inner work when I went back too that I didn't expect, right? And then all of a sudden, this creativity poured out of me. I've been writing songs. And
that is beautiful.
So many songs have been coming out of me. I probably wrote close to 20 now within the past couple weeks. And I'm picking up an instrument, and it just feels good.
That is beautiful, Becca.
To let go of all the old stuff,
Yes. You know what? And doing your shadow work and opening up to your divine feminine also allows you to just surrender,
Yeah.
And that's what I really loved about your energy when we were in India. Like, we were like kind of kindred spirits. Like, we were just like, oh, you know what I mean? And everybody around us was like, and we were just kind of like in the flow, and that's what being in that feminine energy, or balancing it with your masculine, it really allows you to just surrender to divine guidance. That's why you're open to get those downloads for these 20 songs, because you surrender. You're surrendering to just guidance, to just being, to being a creator. And we always think we create by doing. No. And even, in Ayurveda, Maharishi said, what you create in silence gets a greater rebound. You have a larger influence than being in action. So what you create through just meditating, through visualizing, through intentional manifestation, through believing and knowing, and loving yourself and loving others, and sharing your gifts, not for the money, but because you're passionate about it. And then the money comes, like you said, what you do out of your heart or in silence, and the purity of your consciousness has a much greater rebound, a larger territory, and a larger influence. So
I've been craving that silence so much more. It's like the treasure. It's like the treasure when you get to that silence, because you do, like you said, you get that direction of what you need, what to do once you get to action, and it's precise. Or even if you don't get it, you just go. It's like you just go and you go and like truly being in the present. And I've been like a pre-planner, and let's plan everything out, and it's still good to have that, because that provides some structure. But being able to release that and to go on a dime, because you you feel that nudge, and we've become numb to not feel the nudge because of life and the pressures that we have. There's so many pressures, and it's not easy. Like in a workday, when you have somebody that's dictating to you, this is what you need to do, this is how many numbers you need to hit, da 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 da, and you got to receive, okay, and just understand their energy, and then just still flow and realize that you're going to get results the way that you flow, because you're tapped into that intuition, that inner knowledge that's kind of directing you on what is the next best thing to do. Well, it's been amazing. It's always amazing having these conversations with you. And
yes. So many good conversations in India. So yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But one thing I wanted to let the listeners know is that you and I and a few others, we're leading a 8-day wellness retreat, and it'll be in Costa Rica, the end of June, to 8 days. And I think it's so vitally important if someone is feeling stuck and they really just need to get away, even outside of their environment, and come to a place around other people who are doing some inner work and feeling that energy. And it's not that we need to escape or anything. It's just like we do in our lives, whether you have time to go away for a week, whether you don't, taking each moment, like you said, like in the morning, to have those spaces of silence, to even on the weekend, just going somewhere, being in nature, connecting, back to yourself, to quiet all the noise, and to really tap into the divine within.
Yes. And it's going to be a truly amazing retreat. It is full-bodied. Okay? It's with yoga and workshops and activities, and we're going to go on an excursion, right?
Yes,
we're
going to go to an indigenous place and learn how to make cacao. And on that excursion, there's like a beautiful like waterfall that we're going to go see and stuff. And we're the wellness center is kind of tucked in the rainforest, so there's like bungalows. It's really awesome. And then it's only a 5-minute walk to the beach, so it's like we get the best of both worlds.
So you get the beach and you get the culture as well.
We'd be watching the sunrise, the sunset, and just enjoying our time together. Create that space, just like you do.
Creating the gap.
Yes.
To connect.
So Tara, if anybody wanted to contact you for your services, do you do it online? I know you have a center. You've just moved into a new place, and you're based out of Ohio.
Yes, Euclid, Ohio, and I am at 503 East 200th Street in Euclid, Ohio. I am also on Instagram at Healing Paradigm. Also on Facebook at Healing Paradigm. Mm-hmm. My new website is under construction, but it's coming soon. And the domain is www.healingparadigmllc.com. Okay. And you can call me at 216-970-1421. Or you can email me at healingparadigm18@gmail.com.
Awesome. I'll put all of that information too. You can send it over to me. I'll put it all once I, post it and all. I'll have links and stuff for people so they know where you at.
Yes, and we do a lot of things here. We have meditation class on Thursdays, and some meditators that have a meditation practice, they say, well, why I need a meditation class? But this class is truly insightful. She helps you reflect on different types of meditation and different moments in your life. She also helps you look at your practice to see how you can enhance it. And
Nice.
when you're not consistent, how you feel. So,
Yeah.
And then yoga on Sundays at 10 a.m. now, every Sunday. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
you have so much going on. Like, I'm following
Yes.
you on Instagram, and I'm always seeing your events.
Yes.
It's
And we're doing, what day is that? I think it's the 31st, yoga and, no, not yoga, sound therapy and breath work. So, yes.
oh, I have to
Yes.
come down that way. So.
Yes. Yes. I would love that. Yeah.
Well, Tara, it's been amazing having you, and let's have these conversations again. I think we need to normalize it for more people to do the inner work, so that ultimately we all can heal.
Thank you so much for having me.